And welcome everybody. This is This Week on DNG Radio. I'm your host, Sherman Ray. I'm here adjusting my headphones, and I want to welcome everybody to the show this morning. For those of you who are watching on the video cam, you're probably seeing my wonderful shirt here. It is a nice high colored yellow with stripes on it. I look like a barbershop pole or something like that. I want to welcome everybody to the show. I'm the founder and the president of the Diversity Networking Group. For those of you who don't know what the Diversity Networking Group is all about, it's really all about business owners. We work with business owners on a weekly basis, gosh, upwards of probably 100 business owners on a weekly basis, and we speak into their lives and we encourage them and bring in new speakers and topics and all that other stuff. And This Week on DNG Radio is really just kind of a culmination of a lot of things, but by and large, it's really for a business owner. It's about telling everybody about it. So from time to time, we'll have a partner with us on the show. This week, I'm in studio by myself. Well, not really. I've got Million Quinteros. He's the producer and the owner of thecityfmradio.com. So if you want to speak to Million, if you want to find out about getting your own show on, just go to thecityfm.com and you can find out all about Million and everything else going on. Well, anyways, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news today, and before we get to that, I know we generally don't speak a lot about national news. We really kind of stick around on what's going on in Las Vegas, and we do that for a reason, because a lot of people, I'll just admit it, Las Vegas is the center of the world. It's the center of the universe. And a lot of people really want to know what's going on in Las Vegas. So we've found out through the miracle of social media and all kinds of things like that, that we've got a lot of people who are listening to the show from, Venezuela, maybe, I don't know, maybe they are in Venezuela, but we've got them from like Japan and London and stuff like that. So I want to welcome you all here. If you would like to follow us on Twitter, I invite you to follow us on Twitter at DivNetGrip. That's Diversity Networking Group. That's DivNetGrp. You can follow us on Twitter. You can find us online at diversitynetworkinggroup.com. Also, you can find us on Facebook. And speaking of that, folks, let's dive right into something very interesting. I don't think I even got the article in front of me, but guess what is happening here in Las Vegas this weekend? Do you know what's going on this weekend? No? It's NASCAR weekend here in Las Vegas. That's right. So for those of you who don't know, NASCAR is here in Las Vegas, and there's a story, and maybe I can get to it and see if I can find the story with our NASCAR folks. But the folks, and many of you know that we started this whole thing with the Diversity Networking Group. We actually started the whole thing using Facebook. I mean, really, that's the whole thing. We started with that. Never did any advertising for it. We just all started with that. Well, and now we're moving towards our third year of being a part of the the whole business climate here. Literally have spawned many businesses, and it's all because of social media. So guess who else has decided that they want to find out about social media? NASCAR. That's right, NASCAR. Social media at 190 miles an hour. The Las Vegas Motor Speedway turns to Twitter. Okay. Here's a story from Las Vegas Review-Journal, and it says if The Bachelor show can post on Twitter, and during the broadcast, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway says they're going to do the same thing. So this week, starting Thursday through Sunday, NASCAR weekend here in Las Vegas, they are going to actually start it at the Neon Garage, and I believe that Neon Garage is it downtown or is it out at the Speedway? I forget where it's at. But anyways, they're going to start posting from Twitter. The hub, dubbed Cobalt Social Media Command Center, will host computers and a large video monitors that will give fans a live glimpse at the racing luminaries, cracking out insights on Twitter and Facebook. NASCAR racer Brad Keselowski, the Sprint Cup Series defending champion, so we got some names out there. We don't just have Joe Schmo out there, driving a Fiat or something like that, or a Yugo. Right? We got Brad Keselowski. No Pintos. Oh, I saw a Pinto. I just saw a Pinto, a couple of days ago. We're driving down the road. Now, folks, how many of you, if you're over, 20 years of age, you probably know what a Pinto is. Well, probably be over 40 to remember what a Pinto is. But my wife, the lovely Mrs. Ray, and I were driving down the road, and we actually saw one. And you can always tell, because you can tell a Pinto because I know that's right. The driver's got he's got a paper bag on his head, so no one will see him. He's going. That's right. I'm driving my Pinto, right? And if he's proud about it, you don't want to be near him at all. You don't want to be near him at all. So I'm looking, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see this Pinto design, right? And I could tell because on the back he had like a Band-Aid near his gas tank, right? Because, So anyways, so you won't see any Pintos out at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It will be great. So they're going to start posting Twitter ads there. Gosh, it says, wow. This article goes on to says that the circuit's famed Twitter man is Brad Kozlowski. He was fined $25,000 for using a cell phone to send tweets from his car during the race. Can you believe that? I know he's driving. Now, it's not like he has to worry about turning right. He was just turning left, so he could use his left hand. Wow, isn't that an awesome story? So that's what's going to happen. It's coming up this weekend. So get your Twitter things out there, and as a matter of fact, I'll be tweeting this weekend too, because I believe that I'll have some time this weekend. So I'm going to be twittering. I'll be out there tweeting on our Twitter from our Twitter handle, and that's DivNetGrip. So if you want to follow us, we really encourage you to do that. And also, if you want to follow our show, for those of you who are watching via the webcam right now, we're at Ustream. So Ustream is it's called Ustream.tv, and just look in the search bar, and it says Ustream, or it says This Week on DNG Radio, and you can actually watch us. We've got a couple of people who are following the show already. I want to give a shout out to Portia Hurley, because Portia, I speak to her on occasion. She says she listens to the show all the time. She's actually with a company called Elps Franchising. So if you're looking to franchise your business, we want to help you out there. Portia, give you a shout out there. We want to thank you for being one of our loyal listeners here. Portia said that I'm pretty funny on the radio. Is it pretty funny? I'm being serious. This is a serious job here. But Portia said that she's listens and she laughs and she has a good time. So we want to give a shout out to them. So this weekend, the NASCAR Nation will be out there. I want to turn to some national news here right now, because this is a solemn day around the world, because one of the greats is now room temperature. That's right, Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. I know, sayonara. So, the guy came into power after being a tank driver in the military, and then he became the leader of Venezuela. And really parlayed he nationalized pretty much anything that could make money in Venezuela. And for many of you who probably know anything about 7-Eleven, citrus gas or Citgo gas is actually Venezuelan gas, or much of it comes from Venezuela. So during that time when the president, El Presidente Hugo Chavez was defaming George Bush II, many people said yes. They said, we're done. We're done with this. We can stand for a lot of things. As Americans, we can, do a lot of things. We can stand for a lot of things, and we'll put up with a lot of things. But we won't allow you to call, our president and, our chief commander an idiot, and call America, the great Satan, that kind of stuff. So Hugo Chavez died from complications from cancer, and now he's 6 feet under. His family, so we send out well wishes to his family and stuff like that. But you're probably better off. He was a loose cannon, and so he's gone now, and that's the way it is. And we also lost another guy here in Las Vegas too, and that's the superintendent of schools. So here in Las Vegas, our superintendent of schools, Dwight Jones, he announced his resignation today, yesterday, as a matter of fact, and he's going to be gone for a while. Maybe we'll actually have a little time to talk about him in the second segment. But the guy was hired in 2010, and he was making like $358,000 to be a superintendent. The superintendent. And I'll tell you, we searched a long time to find the right guy, and I guess something happened with his mom, and he decided that he's going to take care of his family. And now we're looking for another superintendent of schools. I think we're $358,000, bro. I think we could probably hire a couple of them. We could probably split that and hire probably 3 or 4 superintendents for each corner of the valley, the north, south, and the east and the west. And we could probably see some significant change. So anyways, we want to say goodbye to Superintendent Dwight Jones and hope him well, hope his mom is doing well. This has been Sherman Ray, and this is This Week on DNG Radio. We'll be back in just a minute for our next segment, where we'll talk about some things that are going on with UNLV Now on This Week on DNG Radio. We'll be back in a minute.
Clear. It's cool, man.
Hey, we're back, folks. Segment 2 of This Week on D&G Radio. I'm your host, Sherman Ray, the founder and the president of the Diversity Networking Group. Hey, we want to thank you all for being a part of the show today. And if you'd like to follow us on the Twitter, I was just listening to Rush Limbaugh before we came in here, and I guess that a lot of people are taking Twitter as like serious gospel. You know, that people, even the major news organizations will actually say, well, I saw this on Twitter, so it's got to be gospel. It kind of reminds you of that commercial where the lady's talking about, you know, her boyfriend or she's saying, hey, my boyfriend's a French model. Remember that guy? And he comes walking down the road and he goes, oh, bonjour. And because everything's got to be true on the internet. Now you got to be kind of careful with things that are on the internet because it's just not always true. Anyways, we want to invite you, if you are surfing the web, you're on Twitter, follow us on Twitter. It's at DivNetGrip, DivNetGrp, or you can find us at diversitynetworkinggroup.com. That's just with one G, because I know some people have been looking for Diversity Networking Group, and they dialed in the wrong URL. And so just put one G, diversitynetworkinggroup.com, and you will find us. You know, we've got so much stuff in the news today. We've got stories. Let's go with this one story, and the story is really about our constable. And our constable here in town is what's his name, Bonaventura, and really his job is about ready to they're probably going to get rid of him pretty soon. And this is for a good reason. A couple of weeks back, I read we did a story on our. I'm trying to find the story here, guys. Maybe it's in my stack. Well, what happened is we actually had this guy. His name is Bonaventura, and what he did is he took his car. And he literally took, and I know you can hear my rustling papers here, but I'm trying to find the story. But anyways, what's happening? The guy took his constable's car, and for those of you who don't know what a constable is a guy who goes around and he serves papers on people, that kind of stuff. And there's about 25 of them here in the valley. It is actually an elected post. So it's not like you get hired to do this. The people vote. Hey, this is who I want, and I can't find the story, but. Anyways, I'll tell you what's happening. So anyways, this guy, Bonaventura, a couple of weeks back, he got busted for DUI in this car. But it wasn't his car. It was the city car. It was this constable's car. He gets busted in the constable's car, okay? Not the brightest, light in the pack. So there had been her name is June Kiliani, and she's a commissioner. She ran for mayor the last go around and was defeated by Carolyn Goodman. But she had been after his job anyways. She said, look, this is kind of ridiculous. Why should the people be paying for a service that, could be absorbed into Metro or into, North Vegas or whatever? And so basically they're actually going to vote on it fairly soon. The proposition, they brought up the issue of this guy's, doing away with the position, and they're going to go up to a vote on this pretty soon. None of the commissioners actually commented on this, and so they said, we're not going to comment on it right now, but they're probably going to do away with this guy. But what will happen is that they will actually, if they go through and they pass this legislation and say they're going to do away with the constable's position, it won't take effect until the end of this guy's term, which is not until 2015. So it's got a couple of years. So he can still drink and drive till 2015, I guess, because it's funny because the guy won't. You would think that they would, he would step down or something like that, but it just didn't happen. Hey, let's talk about the Siegel Group. The Siegel, for those of you who don't know who the Siegel Group is. They are a group of investors. It's a company that does a lot of hotels, that kind of thing. Well, if you know anything about the East Fremont development that's going on here in the valley, Tony Shea, guys like that have been going in, buying up properties, big swaths of property, and trying to do something with the East Fremont area. Now, from number 1 Main Street, with the Main Street where the Union Plaza is, going east all the way to Las Vegas Boulevard, it's actually just full of casinos. So you've got the Fitzgerald and Golden Nugget and stuff like that. But once you get past Las Vegas Boulevard on Fremont and you continue east, it starts looking pretty shady. Okay, I mean it's not. Well, I should say this. It looks inner city. Let's just put it that way. Or it looks cosmopolitan. It's scuzzy. It's just not what it should be. But Tony Hsieh has been coming in saying, hey, folks, come on, join us down here. We're going to make this into a walkway. We're going to make this into a, Soho lofts and stuff like that. And by and large, people are starting to buy into this. Well, the Siegel Group decided that they're going to do something too, because there's a number of hotels down there, motels down there. And what they did is they acquired 3 buildings, including 247 units for $3.8 million. So if you drive down there, you'll actually see them. You'll actually see the signs out there on these properties. And basically, they bought them for like $15.6 a piece per unit. And you can actually go driving down Fremont Street, just past Las Vegas Boulevard, and actually past like 6th Street, that kind of stuff. And you will actually see the signs up on the Siegel properties where they're buying them, and they're saying, the Siegel Group is saying, hey, we're going to do something here. As a matter of fact, I'll show you the picture. I wonder if you can actually see that online there. You might be able to see. But the Siegel Group is saying, hey, we're going to do something and help out these properties, because that's what you should be doing. And that is not the only story of its kind. There's actually another company here in town, and I got that letter here too. And it basically says that, oh, here it is. Oh gosh, there it goes. Okay, there's another out-of-state investor group that is spending millions of dollars, not just to buy 1 or 2 properties or 3 properties like the Siegel Group, but they're buying whole portfolios of property. And the name of this company, what's the name of this company? Oh, I had it here in a minute. But basically, what they've done, the name of it is called the Panantonio Development Company. And they are buying up huge swaths of property. As a matter of fact, they bought up a bunch of Wendy's. And we did this story a couple of weeks ago, but it's back in the news again. They're buying commercial property, and even though it's a risky proposition, and this is in the Vegas Inc. magazine, even though it's pretty risky to buy anything commercial right now, the way the current climate is, this company is saying we see the advantage of buying franchises. Companies, hey, franchises, hey, and I don't know if that's a segue into the Elps franchising group. So, friends of ours, John and Portia Elps. But anyways, this company is going around buying up. I think they bought 18 fast food properties sold by Cedar Enterprises to 2 national real estate firms. This one was the Wendy's group, or the Wendy's property. And so, they sold a bunch of these Wendy's franchises, which is very cool, And so instead of buying onesies or twosies, they're buying an entire portfolio. So we're looking at people doing things like this. We had the same thing happen over at the Vidara. I think over at the Vidara, they bought like 400 units or something like that of the Vidara property over at City Center. So we've got some major stakeholders who are buying up huge property portfolios. As a matter of fact, there's another company, it's a Japanese company, that's doing the same thing. And they're buying up huge portions of property, which says something about Las Vegas. It really says that Vegas is doing something or looking pretty good, and maybe in the next segment we'll talk about the climate of Las Vegas, why is you as a business owner probably should think about expanding your visibility in Vegas, because Vegas is on its way back, baby. I mean, Vegas is on its way back in a big way, and we'll talk about maybe some funding things that you can do to fund a business, and we'll also talk about a company that Linda and I, the lovely Mrs. Ray and I are starting, and it's called Avery's Coffee. And we've not talked about our coffee business here on this show, but maybe we'll talk a little bit about it. Anyways, this is Sherman Ray, and this is This Week on D&G Radio, a production of the Diversity Networking Group. We'll be back for our final segment. We're going to talk a little bit about some business loans and some of the other things that are happening. Maybe even we'll get to the UNLV Now story. Okay? We'll talk in a minute. Hey, and we're back, folks. It's final segment of This Week on D&G Radio, a production of the Diversity Networking Group. I'm your host, Sherman Wright, and we were talking in our last segment about some things that are going on here locally, and we want to thank all you folks that are listening to this broadcast, and you're watching on Ustream, you're listening on the City FM, or you're downloading and podcasting this show. And you can actually get this show via podcast. Either you can get it at thecityfm.com, and we really encourage you to go to the site where our main site is at, thecityfm.com, or you can go to iTunes and you can actually download the show and be a subscriber to the show. So we just encourage you, come on, download the show. We've got tons of stuff there. We've got quite an archive library there. Also, you can watch the show via Ustream, and that's at like a U, ustream.tv, and then just look for This Week on D&G Radio. Okay, This Week on D&G Radio, and you can actually watch us simulcast during the time that we actually do the show. Hey, anyways, there was a really interesting story. Hey, and I'm going to show you this. For those of you who are watching via the camera, you can actually see what's going on here. This young girl right here, she actually, and I don't remember what her name is, but let me, I've got to read this. And I'll show you the picture while I'm reading this. Okay. So, her name is Tawny Noreen. Okay, Tawny Noreen. And Tawny she used to go to school at Durango High School. And while she was catering, or working for a catering company, she would do some balloons. Hopefully you can see that. But she would actually do some balloons, blow up balloons for this catering company. Well, it turned into a thriving business for her. So now she does dresses like this. She does all kinds of things. So we want to give her a shout out and say, hey, Tawny, you've done a great job. She's turned something that was just something so simple into a thriving business. And so, and that happens all the time here in Vegas. I mean, people who have, just passions for stuff, either it be a cupcake making thing, or there's one guy who used to work at, I think it's Caesars or something like that, but he had the idea, he kept thinking, man, they're throwing away all of this stuff, all this, all bottles, and they throw away rubber and stuff like that, or crates, and he started a company that took all of this refuse and made a business into it, and then started selling all this stuff back to the casinos. Because after a while, see, the casinos get so much stuff. I mean, you can imagine. Let's think about the bar itself. Yeah, there are people who drink in Las Vegas. They drink a lot in Las Vegas. So you can imagine if you go out behind any one of the casinos, you go out there today, go look in their trash can, and it is full of bottles. I mean, just full of red, green, brown bottles, clear bottles. Well, there's a company that will actually go around, sell them to another company that will crush these bottles down, and it's here in Las Vegas. They will recycle those materials and then make them into something. And it's just amazing. I heard of another guy, they've just created, and it's kind of expensive, but they created a building, and I think it's out in Henderson, don't quote me on this, it's out in Henderson, but they took a lot of glass, once again, a lot of the refuse glass, and created a material that used this glass in the walls and the siding of this building, and they created the entire building out of this glass product. So you don't want to lean on any of the walls because you cut. But other than that, so you wear a lot of steel when you're around to keep you from getting cut. But other than that, there's so many different opportunities. So Tawny, way to go, girl. You did a good job. Hey, let's go to this UNLV story, because this UNLV story has been looming out there for a while. For those of you who have been around the Las Vegas Valley for any length of time, you know that we are a town that's always doing something. We're always trying to find a new way. But the problem is that we're battling against the casinos. We're battling against the lure of the casinos. So a lot of small businesses find it really tough to compete with the glitz and the glamour and the showgirls. So it would help your business if you just had a showgirl out front of it, or they were doing, they had a stripper pole out in front of your business. You could probably compete against casinos. Other than that, it's pretty tough. So we have been trying to lure a sports team here over the years. I mean, we've had the Wranglers, the Widgets, the this, the that. We've had the Sharks. We've had all kinds of teams that have tried to stake a claim here, but have not been able to do it because we don't actually have a sports facility that's close enough here. It's not in proximity to where all the people are at. Now there have been proposals that they're going to do something with the Sam Boyd, which is way out there on Boulder Highway. Thinking about one over behind maybe the Mandalay Bay, maybe something like that. But really, where is the sports at in Vegas? It's next to UNLV. That's where it's at. That's where it should be at. That's where our college is at. If there's going to be a sports stadium, that's where it needs to be at, or thereabouts, or maybe even downtown. Okay, downtown where the old railroad yards are at. Okay, so anyways, this particular project, it's called UNLV Now, but they're having some problems because it ain't happening right now. They have been voting on this thing and trying to find money since like 2011, and the cost on this thing is upwards of $900 million. Yeah, that's a big chunk of money for a stadium. And MGM Resorts International, the project's first resort backer, said it cannot support the current UNLV Now concept because the cost is too prohibitive. It is just way too high for it. And the folks over at UNLV are saying, or the promoter of this is saying, oh, it's no big deal, no big deal. It's just part of the process. We're going to have people that are going to be wanting to be a part of it, and they're not going to want to be a part of it. And so it's just kind of the process. But, I'll tell you, I am a big supporter of the UNLV Now concept because anything that will diversify our economy has got to be good. I'm a firm believer that if you live by the casino, you die by the casino. If you live by tourism, then when the tourists are not there, you're having a big problem. That's why places like Livingston, Idaho, or Lewiston, Idaho, those kind of places did not see the economic downturn that we all felt here in Las Vegas because they don't derive their entire economy on tourism. They don't care if people come there or not. They live on hunting. That's it. If you're killing something, that's where they live. Okay, so they live on that kind of thing. And you'll never outlive all of the animals here. It's just in Lewiston. So we need something to diversify our economy. And the UNLV Now project right now, it looks like they're seeing some anxieties. It's not been shelved. They're just trying to find more avenues to find some cash. So that's really important. So keep that in mind, folks, when you're thinking about what's going on in Las Vegas. Hey, I just got a couple of minutes left. The parent company of the discount retailer TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Home Goods, they're expanding in North Las Vegas. Yay! Which is cool. It's called TJX Companies, which operates the 700,000 square foot distribution facility at Lone Mountain and Lamb. They bought 50 acres of nearby property in January for about $7.4 million. The company officials had been in contract to buy the land since August, but were waiting for City Hall to approve plans that would allow the expansion. So we've got another company that's expanding in Las Vegas. Vegas is looking good, folks. I'll tell you, I'm optimistic on what's going to happen in Las Vegas. Home prices are up. Inventory is down. People are starting to say, hey, guess what? We want to see some commercial properties. As a matter of fact, I mentioned this in the last segment, that our company, which is called Avery's Coffee, has gotten a shot in the arm, and we're looking to move forward with our concept. As a matter of fact, our last story before we get out of here is really about business loans and how they may not come from banks. And there's so many different sources that you can actually look for sources in your banks instead of banks. There is a company called the Intersect Loan Company, and it's in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and it lends about $600 to $3,000 to businesses with no more than 5 employees. And there's other companies out there. Rather than you having to look for the SBA and to look to those guys for cash, there are other companies and there are other funding sources that might be out there to help you out. As a matter of fact, there's a company called the Albuquerque's The Loan Fund. They spent about $49 million since founding in '89, and they help people out with an average loan of about $50,000. And so, you know, so there's a lot of different companies. So what's your advice for finding money? Be persistent. Be persistent, be persistent, be persistent. Don't just look at the SBA site. Look for other sources of income or other sources of funding, and just keep looking, folks. Anyways, hey, we want to thank you all for being a part of the show today. This week on D&G Radio. I'm your host, Sherman Ray. Next week, we're probably going to be back talking a little bit more about Vegas, what's going on. We'll be keeping an eye on this UNLV Now story and all the other things that are going on. If you'd like to find out more about the Diversity Networking Group, just go to diversitynetworkinggroup.com. That's diversitynetworkinggroup.com. That's with just one G. You can find out all about us and what we're doing and all the great things that are going on. Once again, I want to thank you. We'll be back next week, Wednesday at 10:30. Same bat time, same bat channel for This Week on D&G Radio with Sherman Ray. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.